Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today, since last week, I would like to say Friday or Saturday, was the canonical birthday of Superman, or Clark Kent, I thought it'd be a neat idea to do a Superman property. One that has been talked about quite a bit, has quite a bit of reactions on YouTube, but I haven't gotten to it, so I thought this was as good a chance as any to do my adventures with Superman. Well, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? The story pretty much is as any Superman storyline is, with him finding out that he has superpowers, how is he dealing with them, and how it is interacting with his life as Clark Kent, and he is out there achieving his dream as being a reporter. At this phase in the storyline though, he is nothing more than an intern, along with Jimmy Olsen, who wants to be a photographer, and fellow intern Lois Lane. This does add several different themes to it, of him and Lois Lane actually growing as reporters together, as much as Lois Lane already being a world-class reporter herself. This is an interesting take on it, in my opinion, because that leaves room to work on those characters. There isn't much to say about the storyline. We do see that this is much more about Clark Kent finding what he is about, who he is outside of the farm, who he is biologically in Krypton. I do admit that a lot of different changes were taken in the storyline, but it works for the most part. I do like Kryptonians being more military-based than science-based, as it appears in this one, or being an even mix of the two. Even just the appearance of Jor-El looking vastly different than how he is usually gives it a new flair and really gives this series an identity. I'm not going to spoil too much. I do suggest going to go see the original series. It's on HBO Max, or you might catch it on Adult Swim. But for now, let's move on to the next step, shall we? Clark Kent's character, I do believe, catches a lot of what it was back in the original 1950s. They do catch a lot of the original essence of Superman and Clark Kent. Somebody who is a little goofy, but is kind-hearted deep down and wants to help people. He may not have all the answers right away, but he will be there to help fight the good fight or protect somebody from a falling building. Jimmy Olsen was the one I feel took most of the changes in this. Not to say they were bad, I do think that they do fit more with Superman and Lois in this storyline, because Jimmy Olsen, the original, really didn't have much of a character other than being Superman's friend, which isn't wrong. I did like Jimmy in the original comics and the other animated series, but here you actually give him a personality, you actually give him a character, and it is fun to see him interact with other things along the way. Lois Lane, arguably, well not arguably, I would say definitely, is the one that's had an overhaul in character. In fact, it was such a big change, I wasn't sure how people would react to it at first. But I gotta say, a lot of people loved it, and I gotta say I like it too. She's a fun, quirky character, and really fits with the modern day themes that they're trying to go for. Not to say that it's a perfect interpretation of it, but she works, and it's fun to see her move forward with Superman and Jimmy in this situation. The animation, I would say, is good. It's good. I can't really say anything negative about it, but I can't really say anything great about it. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It fits the style they're aiming for, and it can be action, and it can be cool looking like it wants to be. But overall, I think it's just sticking to a theme that most animations are doing these days, and this kind of art style. Not saying it's bad, but just saying that sometimes it can just blend itself into the background of what's going on right now. I wish it had more of a personalized style, but overall this works, it's fun, it's quirky, and it does add to the storyline for the most part. And of course, some of these characters' transformations are really interesting. Like we saw Parasite, which was very unique and very Evangelion themed, along with Mala and Brain, which was very interesting. And it did work for the most part, in my opinion. Now, there are quite a few references in the show. I'm not going to be able to get to them, obviously, because you can tell Whoever made this was a fan, because they tried to incorporate as many references without being too much in there. Now, I will point out the episode with Mxyzptlk and the Legion of Loises, because that one had the most references I can think. We see a lot of the original Lois Lanes, including the original 1950s Lois Lane, and even the animated series Lois Lane, which some argue that's their definitive Lois Lane, because she did it pretty much the best in a modern setting. We do see Overman, we do see a lot of different references thrown in there. We do see Brain and Mala introduce a lot of interesting concepts. We see Amanda Waller along with Lois Lane's dad. It's interesting that how much they threw into this that isn't exactly Superman lore, but yet made to fit it. It's very well done, very interesting, and if I missed some, please leave them down in the comments. I would like to know like some in-depth ones that come forward that I may have missed or just didn't notice at the time. Overall, My Adventures with Superman is a fun series, but to be fair, that's pretty much what to expect from a Superman series. I don't think a Superman storyline is meant to be a serious take. It's always going to be a fun time. I think the essence of Superman isn't necessarily dark and gritty, it's more upbeat and lighter than a Batman, Green Lantern, or even a Wonder Woman story. Because you're supposed to feel hope in the story with Superman. And I do think it achieves that. It does offer itself with different ways of looking at the characters, but not taking away from the characters. It allows itself room to grow, while at the same time giving itself new ways to incorporate the old ways. And I have to say, Jack Quaid as Clark Kent and Superman is an interesting take. It's interesting and funny because I know most of us see him as Huey from The Boys and so on and so forth. But it is an odd take, and he fits very well. I cannot say that there's been another Superman that fits in animation other than the original Batman the Animated Series, or even maybe Justice League Action. So, for the most part, I would say I do love the series. I like it a lot. I do think the animation is the only thing that's really lacking overall, but that's just my opinion on that matter. And I can't wait to see what happens next season. I do hope it comes soon. I do know that it's in the works. And I can't imagine a more fitting version of Superman coming in the later years, because this definitely hits all the marks for a lot of people, including me, who love Superman, but not just Superman, who loves Clark Kent, who loves Jimmy Olsen, who loves Lois Lane, and knows that they're not meant to be this dark, serious, gritty story, and can understand that they're about the character reactions more than anything else. Alright, thanks again for listening in on this video. I know it's a little shorter than most, but there's a reason for that. I am working on a video this weekend because, first of all, I would like to say thank you all for subscribing. Recently, I have made it to 100 subscribers, which is very big for me. I'd like to thank all of you. If you're watching this right now, thank you very much. I'm going to be working on a bigger video this weekend, a theory video. Please come in as my 100th video subscriber special. And again, thank you and hope to see you there. If you liked the video, leave a comment, like, and subscribe down below. And hope to see you next time.